Hello, everyone. Welcome back again to session 5 of Rukmini, The Turning of Time, Dawn of an Era. We are now looking into further chapters. We have completed like 10 chapters until now, and we are looking for another chapters from chapter 11th and chapter 12. So, friends, I would like to highlight one important thing. Uh, please give us your feedback if we just wanted to understand if this is benefiting you, and we would like your feedback either through comments or reaching out to the host. Anything would be fine. So maybe we can correct if there are any mistakes. So we would really appreciate you giving the feedback for every every video. We are trying to do the best that we can with the blessings of Mata, I would say. And with that being said, I am moving into the further chapter called chapter 11, which is the marriage of Subhadra. As soon as we hear the name Subhadra, isn't it familiar to all of us? Because she is a prominent figure in whole Mahabharata. As well, she is a dear and lovely sister for Sri Krishna and Balram. I'll just give you a glimpse of this particular lady on how she has attained that sacred relationship with Sri Krishna. Because of her service in her past life, she has attained this position of being a direct sister to this supreme power called Sri Krishna. Now, Subhadra, we will we will look at the importance of how she carried the importance and weightage in whole in transforming the whole Mahabharata, as well uh, how she had played an important role in transforming the culture across the Indian nation. Now we will directly go into the chapter. It started like this. Now, till the last chapter, what we have seen is Amba Amba and Sujata, they both were listening to Mata's story, how she has shared story meeting with Radha, and how Radha has overcome that sadness and depression of being separated with Sri Krishna. And how Mata has taken care in motivating Radha as well, how she has educated her to fill Sri Krishna in every part and particle of universe, so that she doesn't feel that separation. Now, with that story, Amba really got inspired, because she came from home to this Mata's quarters, seeking for peace from her homely atmosphere, from her, abusive atmosphere at her home. Now, with that story, of course, Sujata has this art called dance, where she can release the emotions. But what does Amba have? She doesn't have any arts along with her. But what does Amba have? The suggestion that Mata gave was to fill in Sri Krishna in her every thought, so that she could overcome her struggles or depression, all those negative emotions. So Amba took this as an advantage, took this as a guiding principle, and she went back home with a lot of strength with Radha's story, and then deciding that to fill in Sri Krishna's to fill in her thoughts with Sri Krishna. Now, after she left, Sujata was continuously thinking of what might have happened in Amba's life, because she already know that her husband was abusive, and he was like torturing Amba a lot. She has to overcome that, and she will not be able to be her side, because she lives in women's quarters and she can't go outside, because there is a threat for Sujata's life, and Amba can't come in frequently, and she can't share. But she was continuously thinking of it. What might have happened? Is Amba safe? and all these sort of things. But it's been a long that they have met. But when Amba came back again, what Sujata was thinking that she might have shared something, she might have done something. She expected that she shared something, but it looked like Amba was completely out of all those depression, and she was like. She looked like nothing happened to her, and she was completely fine. She looked like she was completely fine. With looking at that, Sujata was asking Amba, Amba, what happened to you? Are you completely fine? Is your husband back to normal again? Is he doing good with you? Is the questions that she posed. But Amba was telling her that no, he can't really change. He has never changed. But how come you're looking so happy? Is what she asked. She was literally surprised looking at her happiness, because there's been some time, like 6 or 8 months that they have met each other. And what has happened to you? What is making you happy and looks so refreshing and rejuvenating? What is that? What is the change really that is causing you all this? And then Amba replied that I have filled Sri Krishna in every thought of my life, Sujata. The story that was inspiring, the story that Mata shared, meeting with Radha, and then Radha filling in Sri Krishna in every thought, and understanding to see everywhere Sri Krishna is really inspiring for me. I just got hold of that words, and then I tried to invoke Sri Krishna whenever I was under depression, and whenever I go under the struggle, I just invoked his name, and then I filled his name in my thoughts. And then I tried to remember his leelas from past. So every thought of mine filled with Sri Krishna. And that's how I was able to cope up with every situation in my life or every struggle in my life. And now I don't care what happens. I don't, because there's someone else in the universe that is looking out for me. The name itself gives a lot of strength to me, is what she replied. And we really have to get inspired of this, because everyone in this world need not know the art, but knowing the arts is always a bonus thing and plus thing. But what about rest of them who are not who are not able to adapt those arts in their life? There are many people in this world. So this is really an inspiring thing for us to fill in with our guardian or the guider who is guiding us from our higher self, to fill in with that guide's name or guide's thoughts in every thought of ours, so that it would give us lot of strength to us, and also will direct us in right direction in our daily day-to-day life. That's how we'll be happy. Of course, happiness and love is the ultimate thing that human life would really try to achieve, right? And whatever we try to adapt in a rightful way, I mean dharma way, then we can adapt that technique to make our life happy and blissful. So, despite a tense atmosphere at home, she seemed to be very happy, very happy, and she was at peace with herself and her life. This really made Sujata envy about Amba, because she was completely absorbed in Sri Krishna's thoughts. I often wonder why. I mean, I would like to highlight an important thing here. The way I look at the Krishna devotees, you all know who especially our Krishna devotees are. They were completely absorbed in Sri Krishna's name, thoughts, things, everything. I used to surprise how can people be so absorbed, how absorbed in anyone's. Of course, we all have an idol or devotee in our life where we rely upon, but Sri Krishna's devotees are like much more addicted, I would say, much more addicted to his name itself, because it is the name itself, because this particular reincarnation, from what I understood, is a complete wholesome reincarnation where he is completely in an awakened state. Um, the name itself causes a bliss to our mind. That is why the name Sri Krishna, or the Sri Krishna devotees, are completely absorbed in that blissful state, is what I have understood. And this is a real example of how to overcome, how a person can overcome using Sri Krishna's name, because the name itself is so much filling in with the positive energy in our minds and hearts. It really works on our heart rather than the mind, I would say, because when something works on your heart, then there's a real transformation from you, right? So, yeah, I would say that Sri Krishna's name itself is so much filling in with positive energy in our heart. And okay, now they were like discussing with each other. Kashini was like, Kashini is Amba's daughter, and then Ishan is uh, Sujata's son. So both of them were getting along each other. They were playing each other. They were like building a great relationship with each other. Akashini was bit elder to Ishan, and then she was like guiding every aspect where Ishan was go undergoing through, and then they were like getting along with each other. As soon as the kids leave to play, and these both ladies, they would go out to walk in the garden, and then they will exchange their words. And because Sujata would really rely upon Amba for the external news that is happening outside of the palace, because she really can't go out, right? Now, they were walking along the garden, and then they happened to meet Anjali, who is really walking to the temple, which was built in there, to offer some flowers. So these three ladies happened to meet with each other, and Amba was really asking Anjali to share some news, because there's a lot of things that is going on outside the palace. One important thing is marriage of Subhadra. Now they really wanted to listen to that news, because the marriage was scheduled or promised with Duryodhana. You all know who Duryodhana is, right? Duryodhana is the elder son of Kuru family, where he was well known for his atrocities and also the negative rule. Now, what if Subhadra is married to Duryodhana? If a girl from a family, because in the past, even in the past or in the present, we could see such kind of alliances that are made by families for some political reasons, right? So if he was able to marry Subhadra, then what would happen? He would gain a control. He would have a hand on entire Dwaraka, and also the entire Dwaraka's army, which is called as Narayani army. Narayani army was one of the most powerful army in this entire nation. There are few armies in India, Akhanda Bharat, or the entire nation at that point of time. This happened like 1,000 years back. I'm not referring to the present tense, but this happened like a few years back. And there was like few which we could count on our fingers, which was very powerful, who were very powerful army. One such army was Narayani army, and it's not a surprise, because our Lord Sri Krishna himself was there in that Dwaraka, who was safeguarding that army, right? Now, how can it not be powerful? How can they not know what the techniques to be more powerful? Yeah, it's not a big surprising for me and for all of us, right? So he could get a control over that Narayani army with such a, I mean, these are all the behind reasons. But um, Now, it was promised and scheduled with Duryodhana. What happens? Does Mata not know about this? Does Sri Krishna not know about this? Would they allow this to happen? All these questions are running behind Amba's and Sujata's mind, and of course for our mind too, right? How would they really make this? Who made this promise? Who promised Duryodhana to give Subhadra to him? Who did really schedule this marriage? It is because it is the Balram. Balram, you know who Balram is? Balram is the elder brother of Sri Krishna, and I would say that Balram. How did we all know who Balram is, right? From the past life, he was Lakshmana, and also in from the past, from the higher self, he was Adisesha, who is a protective cover of our Supreme Lord, Lord Vishnu. Now he's been reincarnating. He cannot be separated from our Lord Vishnu, and he's been reincarnating along with our Lord. And then now to balance the karmic patterns, because Lakshmana served Rama in his past life, now he was reincarnated as Balrama, and he was like listening. It seemed like he really wanted to balance the karmic pattern and allowed him to take birth first, and then he took the birth later. So that's the story behind Balrama. And then Duryodhana approached Balrama with every possible nicest way that he can, and he told him that he wanted to become his disciple. Because the Balram's area of expertise was mace fighting. Mace fighting is nothing but, for people who do not know what mace fighting is, in Telugu it is called as Gada Yuddham. In English, it's a weapon that people carry with, where you can see that weapon would usually be carried by Hanuman, Lord Hanuman. It's his weapon. So it's his areas of expertise, and people use that weapon to fight along with in the battlefield. So Bhima, Bhimasena, who is who is one of the brother in Pandavas, and Duryodhana, these two have learned this mace fighting from Balram. But Duryodhana was like very cunning. He made every possible way to be more nice and to appeal to Balram, even though Balram know everything about Kuru family, and what was happening is Duryodhana's tricks and cunningness, but he couldn't actually uh, send him away, because he was like trying to act nice, which he did fall for it. And what happened? What happened was, usually Balram keeps away from the political matters, but Duryodhana is very, very clever, and this is like, we have to be very watchful of who the people are around us and what people are trying to make use of us. Even though we follow dharma, even though we follow the righteous rules, and even though we follow the right path, there are people around us who will try to take advantage of us using their tricks and the things that they can, right? I would say that they are clever, but people who follow dharma, they have to be mindful and watchful too. We should really use our judgment on whom we are listening to, and whom we are serving to, or whom we are like falling to, right? So yeah, this is a good learning lesson as well. So, after refusing him numerous times, Balram finally consented. And he is a lord as well, friends. the reason why he consented, he gave a consent to Duryodhana is because Duryodhana happened to say that the best way to make peace among the Kuru was to equalize their marriage alliances. The Pandavas, by that point of time, Pandavas did already marry a lady called Panchali from the Panchal kingdom. We all know who Draupadi is, right? Draupadi is the lady from Panchal kingdom. All the Pandavas were able to marry that lady. And that's a whole different story. We are not going into that story now. But Panchal was also a powerful kingdom where Duryodhana, he wants to get hold of that Panchal kingdom and by marrying Draupadi, which why would Sri Krishna allow? Why would Dharma allow him to marry? Because once if she, if when, once if he tries to get control of that lady, he would obviously try to get the control of that entire army, which he will be already there's lot of things that is cooking up in his brain to remove Pandavas from this entire earth, right? How, why would our Lord really allow this to happen? And now, with whatever happened, Pandavas got that privilege of marrying Draupadi, and now he reached Balram saying that, okay, now they got Panchali or Panchal kingdom. Now, when I get Subhadra, I would be able to create some kingdoms. I would be able to get your army, and then we can be equal so that justice can be served and we can be at peace with each other, right? How come they can have the bigger army or bigger alliance? How come I cannot, we cannot have the bigger alliance? How is that possible? I mean, these kind of things were being said to Balram. And then, without giving it too much thought, Balram agreed to his request to marry Subhadra without seeking his sister's consent. This is an important thing, without seeking his sister's consent, because everyone in Dwaraka, or everyone in the family at least, they know that Subhadra did love Arjuna very much, and she really wanted to marry Arjuna. And so but everyone except Balram, isn't it his responsibility to find out what is cooking up in her own sister's brain or mind before giving out a word? Right? That's very important thing. Before we actually give a consent to our girl's marriage, it is the responsibility of parents, or it is the responsibility of brothers to approach the girl first and ask her consent if she really likes it. We can't just really force girls to marry someone of our own wish. This is an important learning lesson, because it is not only the girl that is going in there, it's our family going in that guy's hand. We really have to be mindful and watchful of who we are giving the consent to. Our girls are for our girls to be married, or during making the alliances. So this is an important learning lesson from this story. When she heard this, she was she was very much upset and reproached him. So she really didn't stop there. Now, yeah, there's a word given. She didn't really wanted to end up suffering, and she also thought that if she ended up suffering, okay, I can suffer because my brother already had promised him, and I can suffer. But because of me suffering and everything, what exactly happens? What are the end results? He would actually get a control on this entire Dwaraka and entire Narayani army, which is very, very powerful, which he would misuse them to take an advantage of his cruelty. against Pandavas. So these are the consequences that are going to arise. So Subhadra really did approach his brother, and then she told him that no, this is not up to my liking. You should have asked me first, Anna. Is what she said. Now, Balram, when he listened to this, he felt very badly upset, very upset, and because he felt very badly for his word, and he was now repenting. Now, once the word at that point of time, it doesn't look like now. When a word is given to anyone, they would stand by that word. This is how it used to work in the good olden ages. And they used to be very mindful and watchful on giving their words. But now it's a different thing, right? Now, once the word is given, and what happens? What does it look like if the word is broken? Of course, our Mata is really there to help Subhadra, and she wouldn't let this happen. She wouldn't let this atrocities happen. They already have plan in their mind. Wouldn't Sri Krishna get involved? Wouldn't Mata get involved? Uh, because if the word was given to a rightful person, then they would obviously sit calm and allow this alliance to happen, right? But it was given to a wrong person, where lot of people would subsequently suffer. The Kuru kingdom is very, very powerful. It's not about Pandavas or Kauravas, it's an entire Kuru family. It includes Kauravas and Pandavas. Now, if such from such a powerful kingdom, if such a man like who has lot of negativity, and who is lot of cruel, and who is lot of corrupt, if he were to gain control, it would send ripples throughout all the kingdom, giving licenses to all sorts of bad behavior. Any sense of dharma or right action would have no place under his rule. Such is a person called Duryodhana, whom Balram was promised, who Balram promised to give his sister to Duryodhana. Our Lord is there. Let us all trust in our Lord. That is what is cooking up in Anjali, obviously Amba, and then Sujata too. Now, um, um, now, Amba was recollecting some scenes from the past in this present life itself. Anjali, I happened to see Subhadra in the palace itself. She once accompanied Mata when she was visiting women's quarters. She was not like a sister-in-law to her. She was absolutely like a sister and servant, looked like a servant to Mata, taking care of her every needs and everything that she can. It didn't look like she is like authoritative on Mata. How come she is so fond and affectionate to Mata, even though she is not a biological sister or sister-in-law to her? Is what Amba did really ask. Now, this unfolded an important and interesting story. Anjali, who knows some stories from Mata, she actually happened to narrate one of the interesting story. She said that in previous birth, Subhadra had been a woman named Trijata. Now, I would like to take a pause there. Trijata, who is Trijata? Trijata is the one who lived in Lanka. Let's go back to the past again. It is from Untold Story of Sita. Then we have to recollect some of the information. Trijata is one who lived in Lanka and who is a biological daughter to Vibhishana. You know who Vibhishana is, right? He is a brother of Ravana. Ravana is the one known for known for his cruelty, and he's a ferocious demon, where he can he was like falling after the lust. And we can all recollect that, right? And now this Trijata is the biological daughter of Vibhishana, and during that great war, when Ravana did actually capture Sita Mata, she was taken to Lanka, and then she sat under Ashoka, in the Ashoka garden. It's called Ashoka Vatika. And then Ravana used his every force, by every means, to lure Sita, and also to torture Sita, to let her go and under the depression. Now, when Vibhishana left Ravana, he actually made his daughter to go to Sita Mata and let her take care of her every needs. Now, she was daughter of Vibhishana, Ravana's younger brother, who was very devoted to Narayan and Narayani. How come? We all know who Vibhishana is. Vibhishana is the person who is still living by soul, right? He has that boon from Brahma, Lord Brahma, for his eternity. He can live. He doesn't have death. He doesn't have to undergo all the death patterns and all these things. He has that Chiranjeevi eternity thing, like Lord Hanuman. Now, he is living. He father is a person who follows dharma. How cannot their his children not follow dharma? He obviously Trijata is the one. Who knows what dharma is, and who knows whom to serve better, even though she's a monster. She's from a monster family, and of course she is monster by birth. But it's not the body, or it's not the life that we take that is important. It's the heart that is functioning is very important to us. Even though she is a monster, she is a demon, she acted by dharma. She really did take care of Mata very much, attending to her every needs. uh, so attending to her every needs. Now when Vibhishana was kicked out of Lanka by Ravana, he said he did instruct Trijata to take care of Sita. He did send his daughter to look after her, telling her that she must protect her at all the costs. She could not have been more devoted to Sita. When Sita refused food, Trijata dedicated the food she ate to the sustenance of Sita's body. So the thing is, when Ravana did actually offer the food, we all know this from Untold Story of Sita. He actually polluted that food by including some drugs in it, which can capture the people's brain. I mean, that's how he allowed people in Lanka to actually always be mesmerized by Ravana. So if a lady comes to Lanka, or if a lady comes to Ravana, he would actually try to capture his mind by giving some drugs, by adding some drugs either in the food or in the water, or all the things. I'm referring to the drugs, to the word called drugs, for us to understand better in the present, according to the present days. But it used to be some mulikas from the past, where he used to mix that. Drugs inside those food, and when a person consume those food, what happens is their mind will be automatically taken or captivated by the opposite person. He knows that art on how to capture one's brain when they were in under the drugs. And this is very, very important, guys. When drugs are taken on the human's body, what harm can it cause is what we have to analyze. Now, Ravana did really try to implement the same thing to Sita Mata, where Sita Mata knows this technique, but Parvati Mata did actually help her in realizing this fact, and then Sita Mata refused every food that she has been offered, and she at least needs some little food for her body to sustain, right? It is Trijata who had made every possible way that she can give some little bit of food of a pure quality without any drugs to let Sita Mata's body to sustain, because there's much more things that needed to be done. If the body is survived, then only the purpose can be achieved, right? If the body is not survived, then purpose can't really be achieved. For 365 days, a human body is living without the food. I mean, that's really hard, right? But it's Trijata who had really taken care of Sita Mata, and Trijata dedicated the food that she ate to the sustenance of Sita Mata's body. She remained awake throughout the night to guard Sita, often kept watch, not realizing that Sita, in fact, did not need any protection. Lokamadri, she is Lokamata. How would are we the persons who will guard her? I mean, it's all our illusion that we are thinking that we are guarding Mata and all the things. Um, but in fact, she doesn't really require any protection or something, but for it is the service and out of the heart that is coming out from Trijata to actually take care of Mata. And during that war, many of men in Lanka were killed, including Trijata's husband too, because there are a lot of people who died on both the sides. Of course, the other side were not being saved because of their karmas. Uh, so the one among the killed men was Trijata's husband too. And Sita Mata did really know that she couldn't take another husband in that life, and she really deeply felt for her, because it was the war that has resulted this great loss. When Sita Mata was about to leave Lanka, Trijata did really wanted to follow Sita Mata, where Vibhishana was like, "No, I have to have my daughter, and I can't be separated from my daughter." Because Vibhishana did really ask Rama to rule that kingdom, and then Rama politely declined, saying that it is you who have to rule this kingdom under by the base of dharma. Now you take over. I will be like be your protection, is what he promised. And then Trijata wants to follow Sita Mata, where Vibhishana was like, "I can't leave my daughter Mata. Please let her stay with me." And then she both Ram and Sita, they saw the depth in her devotion and wanted to express their gratitude, because when a person is fully devoted by heart, it really moves the hearts of our Lord, Supreme Lord too. Now they really wanted to express their gratitude for her service, for her complete service out of heart. Now, Ram blessed her, saying that due to her great care for his wife, she would be born to him as a sister in future life and would again be close to the one she knew as Sita Mata. Now, this is an important thing. This is an ultimate respect that Lord has given to Trijata, that she would be born to him as a sister, where they'll be like sharing all their playthings, will be very close to the Lord, sharing everything that they can, sharing the sorrows, sharing the difficulties, sharing the happiness. That's what the sister and brother do, right? They'll be like sharing everything throughout their life, and that's such a great affection. And between the brother and sister's relationships, right? And he has given that privilege of being a sister to him because of her great service to his wife. Such was the importance, such was the dedication and gratitude that they I mean, Sri Krishna did really express, because I would say this is an ultimate thing that a Lord can give, because she is sharing everything from our Lord. So also Sita knew that Trijata's marriage had been arranged by Ravana, and that it had been a difficult one for her. Obviously, how can it not be difficult? Because it was arranged by Ravana, and then Ravana, who is Ravana? He's an adharma person. He's not a right person, and how would he make an alliance? Obviously, not by following the right rules. A person whom he chooses was not a dharma person, because dharma is an entirely not in his list, not in his book. Anyone who follows dharma is an enemy to him. Now, he has selected a person who is a similar of his kind, and it was not easy marriage for Trijata. Now, Sita promised that when she was born as Ram's future sister, Trijata would be able to choose her own husband, and that it would be a marriage born of love. Now we understand why Subhadra did actually choose Arjuna. She actually chose Arjuna born out of love, and it was a blessing for her in her past life. This was a gift for her service. It is really a gift for her service. Um, and they have promised this. Look what our Supreme Lord has given to Trijata as a gift of her service. And now Trijata has been reborn as Subhadra, and the man she loves and has chosen is the very noble Arjuna, the beloved friend of her brother. Obviously, a dharma person can only choose a dharma person. He can only see a right person when he himself or she himself is right. If they themselves are not right, then they will only attract the negative persons around them. Such is the reason why she chose Arjuna. So, uh, now, it is a dilemma. It pits Duryodhana against the one he regards as his great enemy. Now, Duryodhana, he entirely envies Arjuna because of his famous and well-known, because he was famous and well-known for his skills as a great warrior. Uh, a person's frustration and envy about another person doesn't actually need a direct contact or direct thing, because some other person is like very well known and famous for his good deeds or things. People would be like, okay, it's really bad thing. Why are people appreciating him? Why are people appreciating and doing all sorts of good things for him, talking all sorts of good things about him? uh, is the kind of things that cooks up in our brains, in most of the people's brains, and obviously things. We have to overcome that kind of enviness from other people, because if they are good in their own areas, let them go and have their privilege, because it is the gift out of their skill. But if we can't have that skill, let us learn from that skill. We can't really end up in suffering by the envy that we create out of their famous personalities. So we really have to work on ourselves when we envy some persons. And this is a good example too. Duryodhana is very much well known. He created this huge war and great ruckus in the family because of his enviness. Not that Pandavas did really, they didn't do any harm. They just came to their home, and then there was like they were following their rightful actions, which made everyone adore them or adore their behavior. And when people started adoring their behavior, Duryodhana obviously felt envy for them. Uh, why does he have to feel envy? Because it's his character. Now, people really have to understand that enviness doesn't create or yield any good results. It is it doesn't make anything, it doesn't make our lives good. We really have to work on those enviness and remove that negative character from our life. Then meditation, obviously, the arts will also help in it. And also by chanting, by actually relying on our lords would also help in releasing those negative emotions. Now, uh, these two ladies, Amba and Sujata, were so curious, and they were asking like how, okay, now all these were things were happening. There was a scheduled marriage as per promise, and then Arjuna did already come in upon the Mata's request, and he was actually staying in Dwaraka itself. And then Duryodhana, all their clan were here to marry Subhadra. Now, what is going to happen tomorrow, Anjani? Obviously we know that we can't they can't be married with each other, and how is Mata and Sri Krishna going to deal with this? Is what they were asking. Now, Anjali did narrate one of the story again, saying that whenever actually when I saw Mata after this discussion, she was actually going to Sri Krishna, and then I was sitting behind something behind them, making some space for them so that they can talk with each other. Sri Krishna was waiting for her in one of the place, sitting across the dining table, and he was sipping a fruit juice, and then placing that tumbler on the table. And then as soon as Sita Mata, Rukmini Mata went there, she saw something. Anjali did see something very clearly by looking at the talk. As soon as they arrived, they saw a playful smile in Sri Krishna's eyes, and I knew, and in the sense, Anjali knew that he was aware of what Mata had just promised his sister. Obviously, see, why will not Subhadra reach out to Mata for help? And Mata did obviously promise her that, okay, she knows of her past and everything, right? You will be married by your choice itself, Subhadra. Just trust me, is what she promised. And obviously, Sri Krishna knows what is happening and what is the promise that has been made by his wife. Sri Krishna had a fruit drink in his hand, and after taking a sip, he placed the cup on the table in the middle between them. At first, Anjali didn't take much notice of this, but then she began to see how they were playing with that drink, how it became almost a moving game piece. But Anjali couldn't understand the meaning of the play, neither the listeners or the readers too, because it is a secret communication between both of them on how to deal the situation. uh, everything needs to be dealt properly to handle it in a rightful way, because there is his brother who has promised or scheduled a marriage and given a word. They have to take that into consideration, and there is Subhadra who is all obviously suffering due to this scheduled marriage. They have to balance the both. And when if they tend or do the things to Subhadra for her liking, then what will happen is Balram has to bear the consequences of breaking the word, right? And he is elder to the family, and it looks like people were not respecting to the elders in the family, and it would be an example for them, for all of the society. How can they do that? uh, and now if they tend or go by Balram's words, then what would happen is there's a bigger consequences. Like Subhadra would obviously end up in suffering, and also Duryodhana would get hold of this entire Narayani army and also get hold of Dwaraka, and he'll do all sorts of things he can, where he can go against Pandavas with an immediate action using this Narayani army. Such was the powerful army with Sri Krishna. Now, how do they balance this? How do they they do this? Because everything is very important. When a person is very ideal, or when a person is very in a high leadership position, we obviously look at them as an examples in our daily life. So this has to be dealt very carefully, and this is how Mata and Sri Krishna explained uh, how they have planned the situation. I'll read this out to you. Maybe we can understand some, we might not understand some, because we might not understand what those supreme lords like Jagannatha, Lokamadri, both of them, they can't be, their actions can be easily understood by us, unless and until we are like out of full service with with our full heart to their feet. Now, I will read that sentences to you. um, it is said, Mata said before she lifted the cup and took a drink, placing it back down carefully on the table between them in another spot. She added, Subhadra will marry Arjuna tomorrow. Sri Krishna took another drink and then placed the cup on a different spot on the table. Now, from the spot that which Mata has placed the cup, now Arjuna, Sri Krishna took the drink from that cup, and then he placed it on another spot on the table. Mata looked at where he had placed the cup. She lifted it, took a sip, and placed it back down in yet a different spot. I became in the sense, Anjali became engrossed in watching where they were placing this drink they were sharing. I mean, it's like a snake and ladder game, that they were trying to escape the snakes, and it seemed to me like that they were like placing the cups in different, of course, there's no dice in here, but yes, they were trying to escape the snakes and place the fruit cup in different boxes without getting it drained. So it looked to me like that. Now, where they were placing the drinks, they were sharing, how they were moving it around the table as if they were opponents in a board game. It looked like they were opponents in the board game. Anjali was intrigued but didn't understand what was truly going on behind the simple conversation. Neither do we, right? The promise you made long ago, Lokamadri, who is the mother of the celestial realms, but must be fulfilled, replied Sri Krishna quietly, lifting the cup again to his lips. What is the promise that she made? She made the promise that she can have a fruitful marriage out of her choice, where she can enjoy that marriage born out of love, and she can choose her husband by being a sister to Ram, is what the promise that she has made. Now, Sri Krishna did really weigh an importance there to fulfill that promise, where he lifted the cup again to his lips, saying that nothing can change that. He is the one she has been waiting for. He is the one, Arjuna is the one she has been waiting for. Mata watched as he placed the cup down on still another spot on the table. After looking at it for a few moments, she lifted it to her lips. She took a drink and replied, the seeds of these events was planted long ago. I heard the sadness in Mata's voice as she added, but I didn't know then the sacrifice that would be demanded. She placed the cup down at the edge of the table. She was like, she promised, but it has to be, there is some sacrifice that has to be made out of this alliance, even with Arjuna. People who know Mahabharata would obviously know about Abhimanyu, and then Abhimanyu being killed in war. I mean, of course, that we will look deep into it the next in the next coming chapters. But there is lots and lots of things that Subhadra has to face, even by her own choice. Now, a great price will be paid for the broken engagement. Sri Krishna replied gently as he lifted the cup again to his lips. Now, this is all set. Subhadra's side is set. Now, how that is to be planned, how that is to be scheduled with Arjuna, this is all set by their what we call as the board game. Now, what about this side? What about Balram's side? A great price has to be paid, will be paid for the broken engagement because it was already scheduled and it was promised by Balram. Now, going away from the word or breaking the word, what would it cause? It would cause a great price too, right? Sri Krishna replied gently, "What would you do, Mata, for it? How would you suggest doing that?" Because Sri Krishna and Mata were not two different beings. One will work outside and one will work inside of the people or any things. They can be separated. Sri Krishna, even though we look at him as like a prominent figure, on from the inside of the backside, there is Mata who is supporting him in every action. And there's also a famous saying, there is a woman at the back of successful man, right? Mata is a backbone for Sri Krishna, where he completely relied on Mata for her guidance and also for her suggestions. Obviously, because how cannot she be a backbone? And all rely on backbones. Such is why the figure of Sri Krishna or the personality of Sri Krishna stood straight and high in throughout the eons or the years. So Sri Krishna replied gently as he lifted the cup again to his lips and then placed it on the opposite edge of the table. In his desire to see peace in the Kuru kingdom, Balram had forgotten that promise of long ago and misjudged the situation. Balram did actually promise Duryodhana to see a peace in Kuru family. uh, it's not by like, okay, if we do this alliance, if we make this marriage, then we can see a peace. All his intention was to maintain the peace itself. He's doing right, he's doing following dharma, but what the opposite person is not the one who can take that dharma, right? That's why Sri Krishna and Mata, they will always encourage everyone to use their own judgment. Even if you give like 100 rupees or $100 to anyone, is he using it properly? If he doesn't use that properly, then it's the bad karma that will accumulate even to you too, for encouraging him to do that bad action, right? So we have to be mindful. Even though we follow dharma, we have to be mindful and watchful on whom we are spending our energy on. Is he using it properly? Then there's nothing wrong. You can absolutely go ahead by helping them out. But if he is not using it properly, then it's up to you. You have to restrain yourself in training them. Even Parashurama, he was training Karna, thinking that he could do everything to the best he can. But ultimately, he realized that Karna could use those powers to misjudge or misuse those powers to the Pandavas. How cannot Parashurama foresee the future, right? So such is why the curse has been delivered. Even Dronacharya, he rejected educating Karna because he might misuse those powers out of his angriness, agony, and everything that is, or frustration that is building in him, right? So we really have to think on whom we are helping out and educating. So Balram did actually misjudge the situation and he gave out the promise. In his forgetfulness, he gave Duryodhana unrealistic expectations, and now what happens? Mata didn't finish her thought, but instead took another sip of the fruit juice. And why they are sipping all these fruit juices? It's up to them. It's up to them. Maybe they are dealing with the karmic patterns. Maybe they are balancing this universe of the karmic patterns uh, that has been happening. Uh, it's up to them. Sri Krishna finished her sentence, and now he will find another way to get the Narayani army. Subhadra was just a pawn. Now we can understand. Subhadra is just a pawn. He will find another way. The person who is wicked and cruel, if one way doesn't work out, they will always try to find other ways to serve their purpose. If it's not rightful one, even if it's not an unrightful thing, they'll always find another way to serve the purpose. He'll obviously try to find out, get hold of Narayani army in another way. How he will do is we can see in the later chapters. That is very, very interesting, and that's a learning lesson for all of them, for all of us. By reading these books, guys, it is really not like we just read the sentences and understand the story, but it's the learnings that we have to have by reading these books. The way I read books is like uh, I will understand the situation. I will understand the reason and logic behind each story, and the ultimate thing or important thing is the learnings, or what we call the moral of the story. We really have to adapt that moral in our life. We really have to take that learnings in our life and try to implement them. That is the main thing of the books, or the main reason why books have come into existence, and why we have to cultivate the habit of reading the books. We really have to implement that by adapting those morals and learnings, what they have done, what people have done in the past. We should, if it really went in another way, then or negative way, we have to learn out of that. We can't just simply just read and leave the book or leave the sentences like that. We have to learn from it, and then try to use our own judgment by implementing those things in our lives. So that is the essence of a book, or any book, not only Rukmini book, any book. Um, so Subhadra was just a pawn. At least she will be spared. Mata said. So at least she will be spared, right? At least she will be spared. Will she be? He asked. Mata had been looking at the Jews, but now she turned her gaze to Sri Krishna. Neither said a word for several moments. Will she be spared? Is what he asked. Mata has been looking at Juice, but now she turned her gaze to Sri Krishna. Neither said a word for several moments. Finally, Mata uttered these words, which sent a shiver up my spine. There's a goosebumps on Anjali's spine. Since I planted this seed, I will bear the consequences. This is an important, and we should highlight this. I will really bring this sentence in the next chapter, where there is the story of Abhimanyu. I'm just giving you a hint about this. Since I planted this seed, since she is the one, Mata is the one who gave a boon to this one, Trijata, then she promised, saying that she will bear the consequences. For my sister Subhadra, the universe can be rearranged. Jagannath in the sense, the Lord of the universe. For my sister Subhadra, since she is my sister, she is a caretaker of mine. She is the one who is the sister of my own Lord. Now she is my own sister. I am adopting her as my own sister. Now since she is my sister, for my sister, the universe will be rearranged. Um, is what she promised. And how much effort does it take for her to rearrange the karmic patterns of the universe? It is an impossible and highly effort included task, right? There's a lot that Mata has to undergo to bear these consequences. And what consequences she underwent, we can literally see that in the future chapters. Sri Krishna sighed and shook his head, saying, "I will not let you bear this alone." Then he turned his eyes from hers and watched as she carefully placed the cup down. He lifted it again. After taking a drink, he placed it on the table directly in front of her, saying, "This union is not just for the fulfillment of their love, but for the seeding of the future. Your promise of long ago has brought into play certain forces that will now yield their result." Like Mata was like, "I will bear the consequences, Jagannath." But uh, why would Sri Krishna let her do all the stuff alone? Will he not share the consequences? He will definitely share the consequences. It is the love between wife and husband. It it is the love between wife and husband, two great souls that they were caring for each other. They were along by caring this whole world too, they will care for each other too. They are one single soul who are divided by Shakti and then power, supreme power too, right? So both of them, they will, who knows Mata, I mean, who do not know Sri Krishna and know only Mata, do not completely know Mata. Who knows Sri Krishna and do not know Mata, do not completely know Sri Krishna. So we really have to enjoy that love between both of them so that it will create bliss in our lives. Mata looked at him lovingly before taking another sip, and then she firmly put down the cup on the table in front of him, saying, "There, I have done my part. The rest I leave to you." And then Mata was like, she drank all the cup of the juice, and then she said, she placed the cup in front of him and said that, "I've done my part. Then our rest is up to you." He looked into the empty cup and exclaimed with pretended surprise, "My dear, you have finished all the juice." I don't know what's in that juice. And then they were drinking it to balance the karmic patterns and how they have done it. Like we can. We will really understand a bit in the future chapters, but yet this is how they have tried to balance the karmic patterns, and they have finished. She finished all the juice, stating that she wants to bear all the consequences, want to save the Lord from bearing the consequences, where he was all up and ready to share that consequences. But Mata didn't give him a chance. Smiling, she replied, "Have I not quenched your thirst?" Sri Krishna's face broke into a broad smile and did hers. They looked at one another for a few moments, and then Sri Krishna reached across the table and took her hand. He really loved her, and then took her hand into his hand, and then. They were exchanging some kind of they were exchanging the love between each other. And then shortly after, Mata, I mean Anjali did hear Mata sigh as she got up to leave. And then as she walked out, she said that, "Not a word to me. I'm not going to answer anything. This you can observe later," is what she told Anjali. And it looked like it looked to Anjali like as if two mighty beings were rebalancing the universe, reconfiguring the forces that impact our world. So that's how it looked like. She actually is the one. The Shakti is the one which works on our inner field, while he, the supreme power, works on the outer field. This marriage that will take place tomorrow is not a simple matter. It seems to have a deep significance. So this is the significance. It has to have a significance. It definitely have to have a significance, because it's just not like Arjuna is being married to Subhadra and then uh, they are dealing with lot of consequences behind the scenes, and this resulted in a fruitful marriage. It's not fruitful by the word, or it's not fruitful by the action. There's lots and lots of consequences that Mata and Sri Krishna underwent due to this marriage. And also Balram has to be spared for the blame of breaking the engagement too, right? Now what happened, and now all these three ladies, they stopped talking, and then they have shared everything that they can, and then they left to their places. And what happened was, these two ladies, they couldn't, Anjali left to her place, and then these two ladies, they couldn't sleep over the night. Palace was with, even the women's quarters was like filled with lot of sweets, because when the sweets were there, it seems that it means that there's a thing, there's a lot of celebrations that's happening, marriage alliances that are happening in the palace. So Arjuna, what happened was, in the morning, when Sujata did rise up, she actually was able to listen to that news. She was waiting or longing to listen to the news, and then Sumati did explain to her saying that, uh, what happened? Did the marriage happen? Is what she said. She asked. She asked me that, she asked Sumati, and Sumati did that, yes, the marriage happened. With whom? With whom is what she asked. What happened was, just before the much anticipated wedding ceremonies were to begin, Arjuna had arrived unexpectedly on the scene, lifted Subhadra onto his horse, and then had ridden off at a great speed before anyone could understand what was happening. There was this marriage stuff and everything, that rituals and everything that's going on, but suddenly, all of sudden, from nowhere, Arjuna did come, and then she was lifted onto the horse by Arjuna, and then they rode off. Arjuna rode away from the marriage happening place, and then he eloped with Subhadra, and then no one were able to understand, where did this Arjuna come from? How did he come, and why was he taking away Subhadra? With a lot of questions to be answered. A great commotion has ensued, and a furious Duryodhana had vowed his revenge. But Balram was as shocked as everyone else and could not be blamed, because he couldn't be blamed, right? It is Arjuna who came and took the girl away. But Balram, as promised, he scheduled the marriage, right? But Arjuna was the one who came, and Balram can be spared from his commitment, or from his word too, right? And he couldn't be blamed as well. So, and all the Dwaraka people were happy that their beloved Subhadra was able to marry Arjuna of their own, by her choice. And then he was the rightful husband to her. Such a noble character, such a great warrior of that era. Even this era too, Arjuna was a great warrior, and he was noble too. Noble. There are many great warriors in the universe, but this great warrior should be surrounded by nobility. They should be noble too. They should be humble too. They should be the ones who follow the right actions called dharma. They should be tied to dharma. That is how the person can be classified as a great warrior. Arjuna is one such person. That is why Subhadra did choose Arjuna, because he was also being her brother Sri Krishna was also very fond of Arjuna, and how cannot she choose Arjuna as a rightful husband? So when I say this, did you guys remind anything from the past? It looked like exactly like the way Sri Krishna took Rukmini for marriage. Rukmini is the one Rukmini is the brother of Rukmini who has scheduled marriage of Rukmini with Sishupala, right? Sishupala, and then all of a sudden, Sri Krishna has to enter with her with his horse and chariot, and then he has to take or lift Rukmini into his chariot, and then they rode away. But Rukmini did follow him to. I mean, release Rukmini as well, but he couldn't actually be who is he fighting with? He is fighting with Lord Supreme Sri Krishna. And then this incident and that incidents can be related to each other, and they can be looked exactly similar, right? So these two great souls who were so devoted to them, which is who are the great two souls, Arjuna and Subhadra. They were so devoted to them. Everyone in Dwaraka were happy that they were finally able to unite. And a promise made long ago at a very different time had found its fulfillment. Loka Matri, Sita Mata. Sita Mata's promise had been fulfilled, and everyone is at peace now except Duryodhana and all the stuff. But I would like to take a pause here, and then with everything, with all the peacefulness and happiness in our minds, that Subhadra and Arjuna were able to get along with each other, and they were able to happily reunite after such a dramatic experiences and dramatic scenes. They were able to finally reunite, and their unity and both of them getting along with each other is also happy to us as well, and also the people in Dwaraka. Let's all be at peace with all these things, and it is very stunning and exciting to see all of these incidents that are happening in sequential manner on how to fulfill these promises that were made long ago, and how this has been taken care, and the consequences that Mata and Sri Krishna has to undergo to fulfill these marriages. It's not just like they were giving and then it works out. The consequences are also being faced by them. So for now, I think everyone are happy and we are happy. I would encourage you guys to give a feedback on this if possible, and happiness to you all. Thank you. I would like to end today's session here. And I was able to complete only one chapter called chapter 11th. I actually tried to schedule one more chapter, but I was so much absorbed and immersed in this play between Sri Krishna and Mata on how they were facing the consequences, because it is important for us to realize that these whom we call as lords or the supreme powers, they were acting behind the scenes effortlessly for the happiness of us. It's the important thing that we have to realize on how the parents they try to do everything they can to teach their kids, to give happiness to their kids, right? But those consequences and the things that can be let out before the kids, that will not be visible for the kids, right? That will happen behind the scenes by the parents as such. The same way, exactly the same way, Sri Krishna and Mata are acting behind scenes to acting behind scenes and working effortlessly to create happiness and harmony across the nature. And with that, I would take leave for today, and I'll be coming up with another interesting story of Anjali's tale in the next.